let's say you're staring at a blank space in a room, and all you can see in your zone is emptiness. But there's a ball over here, and I kick the ball in that frame of reference. So now you can see the ball. And that's what I do as a therapist. So I want you, like, I'm opening up your world of possibilities. And by doing this, you're going to be able to move away from worry, doubt, fear. Because there's so many different ways of looking at any certain scenario in life. But due to your past experiences, you've come accustomed to looking at it only one way.
Hey, with the plethora of podcasts out there, I want to start by thanking you for choosing me. This pod is for the individual who is curious about moving through life differently. Each week, I interview expert guests who may change your perspective on your relationships, your finances, and your health. And if you change, the world will change too. All from tuning in. Enjoy the show.
So today I want to speak to you about, I think, more or less how I work with people, because I think a lot of people come to see a therapist or hire a coach or whatever you want to call it because they feel like there's something wrong with them. They feel that, in some way that they're broken. And I think we've improved a lot in terms of, let's say therapy in general, in that we don't want to have the person feel like they're broken. I mean, perhaps medicine still approaches individuals that way. I think simply because, you're referred to as a patient and therefore like there's something wrong with you and you need to be fixed, right? And yeah, sometimes that's true. Like, I mean, if I break my arm, I want them to fix me. I want them to fix the bone. I want them to help me heal. So I understand that, but in the therapy world, we've removed the term patient and we replaced it with client. At least most behavioral, therapists have done this. There could be some that still don't. I have no idea, but it's a much more accurate way of seeing the person as not broken and simply just is. You just are. And to me, you're coming to, you want to work with somebody because what your current situation in life, it's not working right now. Basically, is what it's coming down to. You're struggling in some way, shape, or form. And another myth that I want to bust here is that I'm somehow going to change you. Like, there's no way I can change you. I can't change you. I can't change your partner. But, okay, and this all came to me this morning. It's the way I've always done things, but like, I was just sitting in quietude this morning, as I often do. Sometimes I spend time in meditation, other times it's just journaling, other times it's prayer, other times it's just thinking, and so I was looking out my window and it's still like dawn, so I can't really see much, but I'm staring at this tree, which I think is an ash tree. I should know this because I did study plant science at one time. But yeah, it's an ash tree. And I'm looking at the tree, and there's no leaves on the tree right now because it's December. And I'm thinking, okay, I could look at that and I could see 5 large branches. Like if someone would ask me, what are you looking at? What are you seeing? I could respond by saying 5 large branches. And they'd be going, okay, well, maybe for another person, they see it as a tree. Okay? Maybe another person might look at what my view is, what my point of view is. When you think of it, it's a point of view, right? It's like, what am I viewing right now? And they might say, it's a home for squirrels. And another person might say, it's a landing place for birds. Another person might say, it's something that casts a shadow, like shade. In the heart of summer, it provides a lot of shade. So what I'm saying is that, first of all, none of these perspectives are wrong. And this is the key to the whole reason I want to talk to you today. None of these perspectives are wrong. There is no point in arguing with someone, for example, that your point of view is wrong. The way that you're perceiving this is wrong. Like, can you imagine people arguing about this? And yet people argue about these things all the time. That's the problem with conflict. Everybody wants to convince the other person that they're seeing it the wrong way. And the only way to see it is the way you're seeing it. That's the problem. When really there's so many different possibilities in every situation in life of how to view things. The world's, like, the possibilities are enormous. And why this is so important, I didn't come on here to talk to you about conflict and, arguing and things like that. What I came on to, the main message is that you can relieve so much stress and anxiety in your life if you let go of uncertainty. And this is what I mean about connecting possibility with uncertainty. The fact that things are very uncertain tells you that there's many different possibilities. But the problem is where the worry comes in, is that we see things as being problems. We're trying to predict something. Like, that's what, the world is full of uncertainty. So we're trying to predict, the way things are going to turn out, because we're hoping that, we're going to make the right decision. And there is no right decision. There is no right decision, because when you think of it, when you choose something, you're assuming that your other choice, you're assuming that you're making the right choice. And, if you have any regret after making that choice, you're assuming that the choice that you didn't make, the unchosen possibility, was the correct one to use. But who says? Who says that was the right? That like, you're regretting something that you don't even know for certain that it was the better decision to make. Like, because there could be some cost to making that decision as well. My point is that life doesn't stay stagnant. Life continually changes from moment to moment. So how, like, we're saying that all the variabilities would have remained the same at the time that you made that decision. And if all the variables stayed the same, then, but things don't remain the same. You are not the same person that you were yesterday as you are today. And to think that you're the same person like in your teens that you are today, or the time that you got married to who you are today, is no, you're very, very different. And so my point is, like, rather than being so fearful of uncertainty, you get to, like, play with uncertainty. Because predicting is an illusion. And this is, like, I follow a lot of the work that Ellen Langer, who is a Harvard, professor, and she has done a lot of work in terms of, how we can choose chronic health rather than worrying about chronic disease, for example, because we get to choose what we put our focus on, how we perceive life, how we perceive, is this a problem? Is this really a problem? Or can we choose our emotions, is basically what she's saying. I mean, again, this has everything to do with how you're perceiving something. Going back to the tree analogy, do I see this as, a landing pad for birds, or do I see this as a home for squirrels? Like, I mean, choose whatever makes you happy. Basically, if it makes me happy thinking that squirrels are going to have a home, then I'm going to see this thing in front of me as a home for squirrels. But if that brings me a lot of sadness, then I'm not going to see it that way. I'm going to choose to see it a different way. So as someone who works with me, like, if you are someone that, would be considering working with me, I have to let you know that my job is not to change your point of view, your perception, because I have not lived your life. I have no idea of what your past experiences are. And for me to say you're thinking the wrong way, or, you're going through life the wrong way, that's delusional. Like, I mean, I can't change the way you view things, because, again, you could be viewing this tree in front of you completely different than what I am seeing it as. So rather than trying to change you, okay, see it this way. See your point of view as being, and this is what I came to like this morning. See your point of view as being like a lighthouse. I like this analogy. So there's a lighthouse, and you know how lighthouse, like, you're casting light on like a certain zone, right? It's sort of like, it's your frame of reference. Think of it like that. It's your frame of reference. So when the lighthouse is casting light on a specific frame of reference on the ocean, for example, but the ship is not in that range, not in that frame of the visual field, then the lighthouse can't see the ship. Just can't see the ship. So, and there could be thousands of different possibilities in this ocean, right? Like, think of it, possibilities as being ships, or whales or dolphins or whatever it is that is on the ocean at any given time. The light can only see a certain point at certain times. So what I like to think of myself as being someone as like almost throwing that ship in your perspective, like just your frame of reference. It's like you wouldn't be able to see it otherwise. But it's almost like, it's like you're staring at like a space right now. Let's say you're staring at a blank space in a room, and all you can see in your zone is emptiness. But there's a ball over here, and I kick the ball in that frame of reference. So now you can see the ball. And that's what I do as a therapist. So I want you, like, I'm opening up your world of possibilities. And by doing this, you're going to be able to move away from worry, doubt, fear. Because there's so many different ways of looking at any certain scenario in life. But due to your past experiences, you've come accustomed to looking at it only one way. And, it's not like you're wrong. It's just sort of like, but I grew up and I experienced life in a different way right now. But this is where, like, you don't know what you don't know comes in. Like, how are you supposed to experience it in a different way when you don't have that frame of reference? And our job together is to look at all the different possibilities, and for me to, to question why you're looking at it that way, question why you're doing it that way, for me to become very curious about you and who you are. Because that is, to me, really deep connection with someone. It's sort of like, I want to study you. I want to put you under a microscope and like this is like a specimen, and I want to study you. And to me, that's really exciting. Because you know what, I'm not going to say I have a stressless life. I mean, things have happened to me that have been really, really stressful. But I'm choosing now. I'm choosing my emotions around it. I'm choosing different emotions. I'm choosing different feelings at any given time in my day, and I'm getting very curious about not only you when I'm working with you, but curious about life. It's like, do you see what happens then? I'm building a much larger frame, like a visual field in my life. And in theory, what I'm doing there is I'm noticing things. And when you start to notice things around you, your life changes. Because I'm not in my head. I'm actually noticing things in my environment. And people might call this, being in the moment. Yes, it's being in the moment. But it's the only way to go through life. It's the only way of engaging in life. It's exciting way of engaging in life. It's becoming a child again. Some of the people that I really love the most in this world are these people that are sort of awestruck. It's almost like they're children again, because they're not so rigid. I find people that are really struggling, you might say pessimistic or whatever you might want to call them. It's sort of, and we all know those people, right? The glass is half empty. it's because they have such a narrow field of vision. It's like they only see things one way. It's like, of course, like, they're struggling because they're like, well, no, it's this way. And these are the people that are always arguing as well, right? It's sort of because they're so structured. And they feel like, it's the only way to see things. But no, you got to expand. You got to notice things around you. And that's the secret sauce in life. That's where you see so many different possibilities. It's sort of, and it relieves incredible amount of worry and stress because it could be this way, one way that you're always maybe thinking it might be, or it could be another way. Like it's kind of funny, yesterday I stepped into my car, or the day before or whatever, and I think my husband must have cleaned out my car or something like that, because all of a sudden, like, I noticed, like, I have these glasses. Like, I mean, I don't have bad vision. It's sort of like, what is it, 1.2 or 1.5 or 1.75 or whatever it is. So when I'm driving, and at night or when it's raining or whatever, it helps to have these glasses on. And now I'm noticing as I age, reading like ingredients list or something like that are really, really tiny. I'm having trouble with that as well. So I'm like, oh, these are nice glasses. So I put them on. And I'm just like, well, now looking around, okay. And I'm like, okay, I don't really see things in the distance that much better. So then I think, well, I'm gonna bring them in the house and try reading with them. Maybe it's for like reading things, whatever. Maybe I'm nearsighted. Okay, farsighted or whatever. I get them mixed up. And then I bring them aside and I start to read things with them, and I'm like, no, this is not for this either, because like I don't see the words better. So I'm thinking, what are these for then? They're my glasses. But like, so it made me think, okay, when did I get this prescription? How long ago was this? And, what was my prescription then? So my whole point in telling you about this is that things have changed. Maybe my vision improved. Who's to say, like, it's gotten worse? Maybe it's gotten better. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just, like, we don't know what we don't know. But why would I presume the worst? Maybe it's gotten better, and maybe putting these glasses on is not helping me see distance, and it's not helping me see things up close. So what's going on here? So that's my whole point. It's like things change. So why stress about things? Like what we thought. Okay, let me give you another analogy. Because I think what I'm trying to say here is that people remain so stagnant because they're fearing the worst case scenario. They're fearing and then that they're going to make a mistake. And as I told you before, prediction is an illusion. We cannot predict things simply because of the fact that the world is completely uncertain. We have no idea. Like when you think about science and experimentation and what researchers do, all they're doing is predicting, like based on the probability, and they predict based on past, a past experiment or using certain variables. But that's my point. The variables change all the time. Like I would have to be the exact same person, 3 months ago when I made that choice, than I would be right now when I make, a similar choice or something like that. My point is we're always changing. So that's like, it's delusional to think that you're going to, try to make things certain. So you're holding on to, to certainty because you're scared of making a mistake when it doesn't make sense. Like, because there's no right decision because you don't know what not doing the other option would have given you. So my whole point is, let's throw all those different possibilities, like, and expand your awareness to all the different ways it could go, and then start doing those things. Like, for example, I could have talked myself, from not recording this today, for example. I could have said, oh, what's the point? Like, who's going to really watch this? Who's going to really listen to this? This might happen and that might happen, and I might lose my train of thought, and I might stumble over my words, and no one's going to watch it anyway. And like, says who? Maybe it's one of you is listening right now that's like going, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed to hear today, because I was worrying and stressing over, thinking that it might go this way, this choice I need to make. Or like, you don't have to think of this as being some life-changing, like, decision that you have to make. I'm talking about everyday stuff. Like, get out of your head and just do it. And don't worry about it being the wrong thing. I mean, you could wake up today and say, like, well, should I make this for dinner? Or I'm thinking maybe I'll vacuum that now. Well, maybe no, I'll wait till, a little bit later. Or what should I wear to the store today? Like, it just like, and you don't realize how like everything can change. So you just do it. You just make the choice. You do it right now, and you know that it's going to work out no matter what. Like, because not making, like, I mean, what's the worst case scenario? Like, doing it differently actually today might make you realize this is a better way of doing it. But instead we keep such a narrow, like, structured way of doing things because it's easy. But if you did it differently another time, then it could be the better way. That's my point. It's sort of start just doing things and noticing if things improve or get worse. And if they get worse, then do it another way, and do it another way, and do it another way. So again, like, do it, like, it doesn't have to be a huge decision right now, but we get in our heads and we stay in our heads so long, ruminating and just like convincing ourselves that, it must be done this way because this is the only way. But back to like what I started talking about in the beginning, way of seeing this tree. It's just sort of your frame of reference based on the way you evolved in life and you grew in life, and oh, my internet's not, I don't know, I'm just got a notice saying that my internet's not, I don't know. But anyway, I hope it didn't disconnect. But there's so many different possibilities, and my work is to show you these other, like help you see the other perspectives, and to be open to that, to be open to seeing new ways of going through life, and not trying to control your life anymore, because again, prediction is an illusion. So you have to be okay with going through life in an uncertain way. Like, for example, I'll just leave you with this. I reached out to a client over the weekend and I said, what is your fear? Because I know this client is really struggling. So I just thought, I just want like a very simple answer right now. What is your fear? And the response was very simple. He's fearing emotional and financial because of the situation going on with his marriage, emotionally and financially. I mean, that's where his fear, like he did, uncertainty in both those areas. Well, first of all, I can dispel the emotional part. There's no need for him to worry emotionally because he gets to choose his emotions. You got to realize, again, choosing your emotions. My emotions to me of that tree is that, it makes me happy to think that it's a landing pad for birds. So I'm going to continue, choosing happiness when I look at that tree. And so you can, negate that one. So financially, well, he's a very capable man. And I think any of you that are listening right now, you know that you have skills. You know that there's something about you, about the way you're going through life, the individual parts of you, that there's a gift there. There's no one else like you. There's no one else that builds like you. There's no one else that, approaches like your work like you. There's no one that, like you have skills in many different areas of life. And if you stop with, the indecision and you just start exploring it and doing it, this is what I mean, start doing life, you'll see that you'll be okay, but you need to get out of your head and stop trying to predict, and narrow your view in terms of these are all the horrible things that could happen if I make this choice. Because what happens then is you become stagnant. Like I said, if I let my mind go down that route today, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I would have stayed stagnant and like behind the bushes, in the shadows. Like, you gotta realize being engaged in life is noticing. Again, remember that it's noticing things. It's noticing things. Like, to me, it's like adding oxygen to your blood. You wake up, like, again, you're a kid. It's sort of like, it's like your blood doesn't become stagnant and thick and move slowly in your body, and where you decay and become stagnant. You got to realize oxygen is life, and so I want you to add more oxygen in your body by taking notice of your environment. And like kids, for example, this is why you have to love kids, and this is why you got to love people that have expansive, like, viewpoints of life and engage in life. Because as a child, think about it, you don't look at the slide on the playground and think, should I climb that slide? Should I, no, you just climb the slide. And further on to that, you climb the slide, and then you stand on the slide, And because you watched the movie Peter Pan, the day before, you're thinking, I can fly. And you jump off the slide thinking that you can fly. Not a good idea. That's where we kind of learn like life's lessons. And you know what? Maybe you broke your arm. Well, you're not going to be doing that anymore. But that's what you got to love about kids, is because they're not worried about making a decision. They just do. They're engaged in life. And then when they fall and break their arm, they're like, okay, probably not a good thing to do next time. Let me maybe do life differently. But that's my point, is sort of, you start doing life differently, and you start opening up the other possibilities. Okay, the other possibility was sliding down the slide. Okay, that's a safe way of doing it. Okay, I'll do that next time. It's not but the worst thing the child could do is stand on the slide and freeze there, and become stuck there and calcify there. No, they are going to make the choice and learn and grow, but at the same time, they're in awe. They're so in the moment. Try calling a child that's playing outside and telling them that it's dinner time. No, they're way too engaged in the moment. They're not in their head. They're in the moment. And it's the same, and they have this beautiful imaginary mind, the whole possibility thing. Let's face it, right? We had tea time with our little stuffy, when we were 5. And that wasn't a stuffy. That was my friend, and I'm having tea with my friend right now. No one could convince me that, we're not actually having a conversation, because there's no limits, in the imaginary world of possibilities. But I'm not telling you that this is imaginary. I'm telling you that there's immense possibilities out there. And when you start realizing the different way that your life can go, like I said, you'll start your viewpoint, that lighthouse will not be so narrow. You're going to see all the ships in the ocean, the expansiveness of that. And you're going to start doing some of these things, because why not? You don't want to have regrets in life. You don't want to look back and see, how you possibly could have done these things and you didn't. And you'll never know, because you never did them. To me, that's the worst way to go through life. So if you're somebody right now that's just feeling hopeless and helpless, I really hope that this helped you today, because even if you're living with a chronic disease right now, you got to realize that you choose your emotions. You choose the way you think of this. You choose the idea of it. Maybe you're struggling with cancer right now, that it's not just in relapse. It's gone. Rather than going, what if? No, it's gone. It's not even there. Because, let's be honest, we could have cancer in us right now. And we probably do have some form of mild cancer in us right now, some cells that aren't behaving the way they should. But let's say I would go into, let's say, I was having trouble, I had some pain, with a clavicle bone or something like that. And then they did a scan, and only through that scan Yeah, let's say I had injured my clavicle bone. So they wanted to take a scan. So what if they went in and took the scan and they saw, I don't know, cancer on my thyroid or something like that, like a small tumor? Well, think about how happy-go-lucky I would have been the whole time, like, you know, having good feelings, good emotions, when the cancer was actually there. But the cancer would have actually gone into remission. And, you know, my point is the cancer, I could have had cancer for the last year and now it's not there anymore. But if I would have, you know, shown that I had cancer, then all I'm doing is obsessing about the cancer and what that's going to mean and, you know, how my life is going to end, etc. And so I'm not diminishing the stress of having a chronic disease. All I'm saying is that we can choose to still be very engaged in life and noticing all the beautiful things of life while we still have cancer, and choosing happiness and choosing to believe the cancer will go into remission and the tumor will shrink, because it is a possibility. So why am I shutting that down? And you can say, well, the doctors are going to say, you know, based on all their other patients that had this type of cancer, you know, the chances of it are, well, what if I'm an exception? What if I'm an anomaly? You know, I mean, what if? What if you choose a different career? What if you know, choose to look at whatever it is that's worrying you right now with a different lens, a broader lens? Let's say, you know, I was there and I threw something in your frame of reference and said, how about this? You know, and you're like, I can get behind that. You know, why can you get behind it? Because it brings you happiness. So get behind it. Again, we get to choose our emotions. We get to choose the way we're viewing that tree. So be your own lighthouse, you know, expand your awareness, engage in life, notice little things, notice the way your coffee tastes, notice like how hot it is, how the smells of it, you know, take that small moment and notice more things. That's what I mean. And give yourself, you know, the oxygen that you need to live a very vibrant, you know, life, just like full of vitality and newness and novelty. And yeah, to me, it's the only way to live. So I hope this has helped you today, and have a great day, okay, with your new frame of reference. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.